Here we see Billy Hukin, the razor grinder. He gets his blade forgings in a box, probably 3 dozen or 6 dozen at a time, empties them on the hull floor and sorts them. From that situation, he has to grind the blade to give it form. There are something like 37 operations to finish, grind, glaze and polish an open razor. The first of these is the process of rough grinding, hollow grinding. Since the advent of the artificial grindstone, the operation of initially grinding the blade has altered. Here we see 2 grinding wheels running side by side, and the blade is pushed between them. The grinder's left hand is working a handle which is moving the left wheel closer to the right hand one. And as it forces the blade one to another, it makes the blade thinner till it gets down to the right thickness. He can tell by looking at it, but he checks it. He presses the blade against his thumbnail. This enables him to judge the thickness of the blade, to know whether it is of the right strength. After the initial grinding process, the blade goes through a number of other processes, of which this is one. Look how quick he changes the position from one side to the other. The white on his hands is whiting. This stops the blade from going rusty. The time that is spent not actually on the wheel is considered to be lost time. So the quicker the changeover can take place, the better. No open razors are now made in Sheffield anymore. One firm in Germany is still producing them, and peculiarly enough, quite a number are made in China. After the blade has been ground and polished, it has to have its handle fitted. In Sheffield parlance, this is called setting in and wetting. This is Colin Ward, and he gets his blades from the razor grinder to put them in the handle. And what he's done here, he's got the handles in his left hand, he fitted the blade in with his right hand, and he's now putting the pin in which will form the hinge. This has to be riveted on both sides. And then the blade has to go exactly down the centre of the handle. If it doesn't, it catches, of course. What he's doing now is to put 2 small washers onto a piece of wire. He's put the blade into the handle, and the piece of wire is put through the hole in the scales and the blade, and he picks up 2 more washers. In the cutlery trade they're not called washers, they're called rivets. He knocks a piece of wire down and cuts it off and rivets it again. Watch his left hand, it's rolling round all the time. What that does is to give the rivet a nice domed head. In the old days they used to prepare razor scales, as they were known, from bone, horn, ivory, a number of natural materials, and each had to be filed to shape. This is showing a similar process, and then each has to have a hole at one end, and this is done on a horizontal drill, and you'll notice he's holding it with his left hand and his knee is pushing his hand so the drill goes forward into the scale. The little washers that are called rivets are produced from some material that's called latin. It's very thin nickel silver sheet, and the cutler has a special punch which makes a hole in the centre and cuts the outside all in one go. This is done on a piece of lead, and he picks the little washers, or rivets as they're called, out and into his apron. They then go into his rivet box, which is a small box with perforated metal in the top to allow the wire to poke through. There's the operation again. Done so quickly the eyes can hardly see. And look what he's using for a hammer. A file. Clip. And that tiny hammer, just the right weight to spread the head of the rivet and no more. In days when scales were made of pearl and ivory, they had to be very careful so as not to split the material. Now we're coming up to the final processes. This is known as wetting, putting the very final edge on. A little oil, a very fine stone. This one is called Belgian rock. A wipe. And there it is, Sheffield blade. Touch with the strop. And a test. Another wipe. Into its little bag. There's the finished article.
First, this comes off. You don't need expensive shaving soap. That's something else you don't need to shave. And all that baloney about the lather makes the hair rigid, stand up rigid, it's all bull. Well, all these gimmicks, these people get up to sell their stuff, don't they?
Of course it is. That's right.
That's that. A towel. You must get your hands wet so you rust your razor. Right.
Which razor's that one you've got?
That's an old razor. Mouse asleep, Ken.
Mouse asleep.
Well, it's a pleasure to have a shave. If you haven't got a good razor, it must be agony. Shave hands, that's the best of being ambidextrous, isn't it?
It is indeed.
I like to see people look nice and tidy, women and men, and I'm a great admirer of beauty, no matter if it's in human form or any form. And a good-looking man can spoil his face with a scruffy-looking beard. Can't feel this really on me. Well, shave a mouse asleep, Kim.
Lovely.
So I get the lather off. Back in the pot. Not done yet, I don't want to stop it for you. And there's a bit at the bottom.
Well, what make a razor is that then? Whose is it?
It's a beauty, that, real beauty. Sellers.
A seller's? And how old is it, do you think?
Oh, 20s.
Oh, so we're talking about 70-year-old then?
20s.
You're not much good for trade then? What a beautiful mark that is.
My wife with the son set me off. She often said, I won't mind you growing a moustache just to see how you looked. So I used to get a cork and burn it. So there you are, that's how I look. Not bad.
How many razors have you got here, Bill?
Oh, about 20.
And do you use them all in strict rotation?
I said, take it from that end,
Yeah.
finish with it with that end. Prop them up like that. It's like like a bookcase, that, isn't it?
That's right.
Bookcase to prop them up.
Yes. What's this business about giving a razor a rest?
A delicate thing like a razor, it just almost goes to nothing. Doesn't want much to damage it. The hair, which is, as we said, is horn, like your fingernails, toenails, must slightly damage it. See, and that's why you strap up to bring that up to its previous condition.
Yes.
And if you rest it, it'll gradually, if it's bent over, it'll gradually recover, you see, because it's a springy steel.
Yes. And so...
That's my theory, I don't know.
Yes. I know what you're saying.
And stropping also bring that straight again, you see.
So what you're saying is in the actual shaving, it distorts or bends the edge.
To do,
because it's so fine, that's
it?
right. Exactly.
So fine.
Yes.
I mean, a few wetters I knew, that's when they put the fine edge on, honing, after they've been ground, used to wet them on the wetting stone. Then they'd pluck a hair out of the head. And if it did that, Ken, you know, it cut it, it was good, wasn't it? Because the hair has not much strength to stand up, and that's what they used to do. Just go on. Might one out of every 2 or 3 dozen.
Yes.
If you want to
just to make sure. And to think that all this was handwork, you know, without the aid of any machinery whatsoever, and everyone as good as its neighbour, absolutely the tops. That's the incredible thing about it.
By sight and judgment. That's why the Sheffield kills were so great.